Go like that. Says I'm on. All right, today's a fun one. I got my buddy Mike Schmidt. This is BretB from OuterSpace and the show today is Mr. Mike Schmidt. Let's see if we can get him rocking.
Hello, sir.
Well, hold on, Mike. I already failed. Right. I failed just coming out of the gate. We're going to get you. We're going to get you. We got 300 things going on. Got my YouTube up. Hey, gotcha.
Sweet.
All right. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I've been looking forward to this.
Me too.
Mike is a man. I don't know, Mike. We've known each other a long time. Did we know each other before New Journey Church, or is that where we met?
No, I'm pretty sure that's where we met.
Gotcha.
So, Eric Holmes.
Really?
Invited me to New Journey.
Yeah.
And then it all went uphill from there.
Uphill. Yeah. Yeah, totally. You played guitar. It did go uphill from there, didn't it? You played.
Yes.
I remember you played guitar in a worship band a couple times, and you bring these kind of these old guitars. Well, one, you brought a Washburn that was like $100 Washburn guitar, and it sounded amazing. I'm like, how much you pay for that? And you're like, I think I bought that at a pawn store for $100.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Do you still have that?
No, I believe that's the one I gave to you.
Oh yeah, what did I do with that?
And I believe you gave it to someone else, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, paid for it.
That's kind of the rule. If I give guitar equipment away, if you don't want it, you need to give it to somebody else.
Yeah. Well, I kind of want it back, just to be honest.
Well, I have one just very similar to it that Ryan Drake is borrowing right now.
Really,
Yeah.
really. So, I'm gonna see if I can pull this up. Are you Mike? Well, here
Yes.
let me give you a preface there. Mike works on guitars. First of all, he's a guitar tech for Big Time Grain Company, a band that I sing in, and Chad, who was on the show last week, he plays guitar for, and who is known as Big Time. Um,
Right.
and Mike does guitar tech for Chad, and that's not an easy job. How many guitars does Chad have?
We usually have at least 5 out. We've had 6 or 7 at times,
Yeah,
and then doing minor things for Colin on the other side.
yeah,
Colin would be an easy guitar tech job because Colin really likes his Paul Reed Smith
yeah, totally.
and maybe 1 or 2 other guitars.
Yeah. Um, I
I love the
apologize.
challenge, though.
What's that?
I love the challenge, though.
Yeah,
It wouldn't be fun just, sitting on the side of the stage and going, okay, we need to change guitars because you're out of tune.
yeah. Is that kind of weird for a local band to have a guitar player with with that many guitars?
Uh, yeah, probably.
Not weird. Maybe it's big
Not weird,
time, right?
just not the norm.
Maybe it's big time.
Exactly.
So
If you're gonna do it big or don't do it at all.
that's right. So, in addition to that, Mike makes refurbishes guitars. Is that a way to put that? Refurbish?
Yeah, that's probably a better way to put it. I
What's the official term?
refurbish and assemble
Assemble.
guitars.
Yeah.
I've not, handmade any parts of my own. Um, there's so many companies out there now making really good quality parts that you can build a really good, especially a Stratocaster. You can build a really good Stratocaster for about half the price of a custom shop one.
Really.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna pull this up here. I don't know if you can.
Yes.
Is that it?
That is the most recent build that I did. It's a PV Wolfgang. It's an Eddie Van Halen signature guitar from back when he was with PV. I literally bought the body the Friday before he passed away for
Really?
dirt cheap.
Is that a?
And
Go ahead.
yeah, so I got that, like I said, dirt cheap for the body. It was all black at one point, and I was kind of thinking I might paint it something else, and I started sanding it, and all of this cool blue and white stuff came out from underneath it. And I got to a point where I'm not sanding this anymore. I'm just going to put a crappy clear coat over it and call it good. And that's where it's at. It sounds great. The pickup in it, it's a DiMarzio breed. It's a old discontinued signature pickup that DiMarzio made for Steve Vai on a couple of guitars. I pulled the magnet out of it and swapped it for a different type of magnet. So it sounds really awesome. It's kind of like a super hot rodded Pearly Gates kind of Billy Gibbons pickup.
Is it Pearly
No.
Gates? Is that a name of a pickup?
Yeah, Pearly Gates is the Seymour Duncan made pickups for Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top to match his old 59 Les Paul, which the pickups in that were referred to, or that guitar is referred to Pearly Gates. It's the guitar sent from heaven, so to speak.
Gotcha. I feel like you are so perfect for a guitar tech. You know so much about guitars and the history which is
Yeah.
I find interesting, but it's definitely not my skill.
Oh yeah, I'm a full-on geek on that stuff.
Yeah,
And
I
yes, that's a pinball machine under it. It's not my pinball machine, but a friend's pinball machine.
that's a pretty cool pinball machine.
Yeah, it is. You got it for Christmas this year.
That's
It's pretty
awesome.
awesome. It's
Cool, man.
very old school.
So while we're on the pictures of guitars, you sent me, I don't know, 6 or 7 guitars. I asked you to send me the guitars that you love, and I thought we could go through them and you could kind of explain why you dig them. Um,
Sure.
I was just thinking how much, this channel is kind of about all things music, but I was thinking about how much drummers are going to hate this video.
Probably.
Yeah. So, let me see if I can pull these bad boys up here. I apologize. I wanted to get this full screen or a split screen,
Right.
but I wasn't able to. Maybe next time we'll have a more interactive show.
Right.
But I will say that I've got a censor button.
Okay.
If you
Are
get
we
out
on
of
7-second delay?
Yeah, no, it's the problem with this sensor. It's like it's kind of slow. So if you cuss, it's probably not going to get the first letter, right? And it's
So
like
why don't you just press the button? We'll pretend I cussed.
right. So it's like it's a half a second behind. So if you did cuss, we'd probably know what you said because you'd get out the first letter.
I will keep the cussing to a minimum.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's go through some of these guitars here. I'll put it back here. You want to talk about these as I just scroll through them?
Sure. So that there is the inspiration for me tearing apart guitars and probably ruining a few of them in the process.
Gotcha.
That's Eddie's Frankenstein. It was actually about 2 or 3 other guitars that we've seen him pictured with in the past, before it finally made it to that standpoint. It has since been, I don't know if the original is at the Smithsonian or if this is a replica, but it's, the body's an old, it's called Boogie Bodies is the company that made it. And the neck, I believe, is from them as well. They ended up splitting up, and some of the guys that did that are now building stuff with Warmoth. That's the Warmoth company, basically Origins. The pickups out of an old, I believe, ES335. It doesn't read normal numbers when they try to spec it and see what it does. The rest of the electronics in there aren't even really hooked up. That neck position single coil doesn't work. The switch in there doesn't work. I think they're somehow hooked up, but don't actually go through the system. So they may or may not lend to the tone, but it's just it's something you see and it's like, my guitar doesn't have to look perfect. Great, I can make it sound good. It doesn't have to cost me thousands of dollars to build it.
Yeah, when Eddie passed away, I saw a lot of stuff I didn't know about as a kind of a I don't know, as a bass player. the
Right.
the fact that the energy he put into building guitars rather than buying them just outright, and the artistry behind that, and that I really thought about you a lot when some of those interviews were going on.
Yeah, I saw a lot of good stuff about that, and there's tons more guys that are way more knowledgeable about it than about his past with that than I am. But that guitar was the inspiration for me to start tweaking on stuff.
Yeah. Very cool. All right, so moving on to number 2 on your list. That's a pretty one.
The 7-string gem slash universe. It's not really a gem because it doesn't have the monkey grip in it. But Steve just, I think that's the one that's on the cover of, is it the Passion and Warfare? Yeah, the Passion and Warfare album. It's really cool guitar. Aesthetically, I just thought it looked so awesome. Just the inlays where it's, the building of the pyramid from the, from the body as you get up to that third fret inlay. It's building a pyramid. The swirls, I think it's called the DNA guitar at times because I guess Steve donated some blood and the luthiers mixed it in with the paint when they did the swirl.
Is his the pink? Is that the pink?
Well, maybe, I don't know. Steve's kind of an alien, so you cut him. He may bleed pink or green,
that's
or
true. Gosh,
whatever.
That's crazy.
But just the tones he was getting out of that guitar, doing all that interesting stuff on Passion and Warfare. That seventh string was very cool to me at the time. I struggle with 6 anymore, so 7 is a little bit much.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a very cool guitar, just in that, for me, mostly aesthetically, but also the way he was able to just, the wiring in those is a little different than a typical guitar, because the way the splits of the humbuckers in the second and third positions, you're able to get some different tones. They're kind of Strat-like, but not. And then just that Floyd Rose that he's got set up so you can pull it backward and, go, do, instead of bends, you can do, pull the trem up, and it will give you, a couple, 3, 4 pitches up from where you were at.
Yeah, that wasn't the first time that. Was that the first tremolo that did that?
No, Steve wasn't the first guy to do it, I would say. He was certainly one of the first guys to actually use it on a regular basis and in a musical way.
Right.
Eddie gets attributed for a lot of things as being firsts, and most of those he wasn't necessarily the first. He was just the first guy to make it work right.
Interesting.
So to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, that guitar just does some kind of cool stuff, and aesthetically it's just like, wow, that's amazing.
That is cool. All right. Yeah, I remember when Passion and Warfare came out. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Was that what record was that? What album was that? Was that first?
I think
that
that's the name
first,
of the album, and then there's For the Love of God is that big single on there that everybody just loved.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think what else was on there. There's the one that I remember seeing him. He played this guitar on Letterman one time. That was probably the first time I saw it actually used live. And he played a song called Ballerina 1224. There's a lot of cool delay stuff going on, and Eventide harmonizer things are going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes into that, that instrumental For the Love of God, and it's just, that song's just amazing.
It's crazy. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that lead tone on there is just so cool.
Yeah. So next, I don't know if I need to kind of scoot him over.
There's half of Joe's head, and then the other half of his guitar.
This. So there we go. Did I get on the right guitar there? Is that the right one?
You did. That's exactly the right guitar. So Joe's got a lot of variations on that.
Uh-huh.
There's the one there that everybody knows. It's called Chrome Boy. It's basically the same guitar, only it's, covered in chrome, and it provides its own light show in concert.
Yeah.
But this one I liked the most because it had a all mahogany body, maple neck, rosewood fretboard, and that's my thing. I've found that mahogany bodies and maple necks are, I don't know why, but sonically they seem to be the most pleasing to me, and I'm not sure that I can tell you, there's this or that coming from it. It's just when I play them, they feel and sound right to me.
Right.
Acoustically. So you plug them in. If a guitar doesn't sound good to me acoustically, I'm not going to play it.
Right.
I'll play a couple of chords on it and it just doesn't sound good before I plug it in. Then it's like, yeah, all of the tweaking in the world isn't going to make this guitar sound good.
Yeah. You know what's interesting to me is Satriani was one of my favorites because I love melody, and
Yeah,
I felt like,
great melody guy.
yeah, and he was a great songwriter, and I was excited. I think, I don't know, was it last year or the year before when he came out with that album? I can't even remember what it's called, but
Oh, is it? I want to say it was called. Oh, was it
yeah,
1980 or was that the name of the song?
yeah, it was awesome. I was like, yeah, I was reliving my
Yes.
old
Yeah.
rock days. But even then,
Right.
I mean, even then, he had a good melody, and he's just awesome.
Yeah. 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 His lead work is really cool and very melodic.
Hmm.
Um, like my favorite Joe Satriani song has to be "Cool Number 9,"
Hmm.
and it's just there's a lot of touch and feel going on in that melody, and it's one of those songs that if you were to throw it in a computer and snap it to the grid lines, it wouldn't work because there's too much anticipation going on in that melody.
Yeah. You and I'll have to do a video on that grid line stuff on our
Oh yeah,
conversation.
okay.
Uh, who was it? Tim Pierce and Rick Beato
Yeah,
did the a celebrity in a laptop video.
yeah, there you go. Yep.
I
remember
recommend
that one.
watching that if you haven't seen that. That's pretty
Oh
interesting.
yeah, great video.
Yeah, because Tim,
Tim Pierce is just, I mean, that guy's just got so much experience that, just talking to him, you're going to learn something.
yeah, yeah, and it's like, people say stuff and have predictions, but he actually lived through it. Like he was
Right.
doing the studio work, and he's been through um, when labels used to go out and look for bands, and now rich parents hire musicians to, these
Right.
are his
Yeah.
words. I'm not making this up. This is his words, and
Yep.
rich parents have hired him to do the same. Anyway, I don't want to
Right.
get too far on that, but
Okay.
here is, let's get to the next one here. Satriani, and then Zach. Is that the right one? Is that the red one?
Oh,
Is that the red one?
that's the red one. The red bullseye.
Yeah,
So everybody loves the black bullseye of Zach's. I am a red bullseye guy.
yeah,
And from what I'd remembered in the past, and I couldn't find it anywhere again, it is an 80s Les Paul, but from what I remember, it's an 81 Les Paul. And apparently it was black before this.
uh-huh.
I don't remember where I read this. This is years ago, and I haven't been able to find it again. And they stripped it, painted a red bullseye on it. And it's a Les Paul standard, not a Les Paul custom, which the custom is typically the most desired. But I had a very beat up black 81 Les Paul standard. And when I saw Zach with that one, oh yes, that's a beautiful guitar.
Yeah,
And he's got his EMG pickups in there, and there are a lot of people that are like, oh, I don't like EMGs because they make everything sound this or that. Well, they've got preamps in them, so they tend to add a little compression and leveling and all that stuff with the preamp that's built into it. So everybody says they hate them, but everybody that listens to kind of that heavy stuff that if you like Metallica and you say that you like the guitar tone, well, guess what? A lot of that is EMG pickups.
yeah, right.
If you like Zach Wild's stuff with Ozzy or his solo stuff, and you say you don't like EMG pickups, I don't understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's interesting when watching or looking at some of these pictures, and you're talking about the history. I remember when like Zach Wild came out, and Satriani came out, and
Oh yeah.
Stevie Vai came out. It was just like, who is that guy? It's like that's what you
Right.
said. Like well, when Zach Wild, I mean, Ozzy had a few guitar players, and they were all excellent, all of them.
Right.
But when Zach Wild like came on the scene, you were just like, who is this dude? You know, he just had his own kind of his own deal.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's, Randy Rhoads, and obviously an
Right.
amazing guitar player. But I think the big difference there is Zach's kind of got his own thing, but also he's just a huge personality as well.
Yeah.
Like not
Yeah.
so much ego driven, but just the guy is bigger than life.
Yeah. Yeah. He's totally one of those like you don't know if you want to be in a band with him because if you disagreed with him, you might not say it. You know, you'd be like, it's okay, whatever you want, Zach.
Yeah.
Because you think
Yeah.
he might like take that Les Paul off and just beat you with it. If he
Right. Yeah, he could literally wield it like an axe.
like an all right, all right. Continue. We'll continue on here and see what we got here. Um, see, I got the split screen to work there, huh?
Oh yeah, there we go.
Aren't you proud of me?
I am very proud
You
of
don't
you.
have to say you are. Let's see what. Oh, this was an interesting picture of Eddie.
Yeah, he's going through his samurai pulled back bun hair thing in that picture.
Yeah.
Um so obviously when the Wolfgang came out, I was like, "Oh, it's Eddie," and nostalgic for the days of the old Frankenstein guitar we talked about earlier, but then this thing here came out, and it's just it's a basic Wolfgang model. There's no super frills to it other than he installed a sustainer in it. And I saw that and I was just like, that is the coolest looking guitar I've ever seen. And it's the, that black neck position pickup and the flame top to it. And people had been messing around with sustainers, but they weren't really, I don't know that they were really being used a whole lot at that point. And he was just doing some interesting stuff with it. It was that particular one came out, or that particular picture, I believe, is the 2004-ish time when, or maybe it wasn't 2004, early 2000s when they went back out with Sammy Hagar after he had left and come back.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a couple of songs just to kind of promote a tour they were doing. And just some of the cool stuff that he was getting out of that sustainer on, can't remember the name of the song all of a sudden. It's on their one of their greatest hits albums. There's one called Up for Breakfast, and then there's another one, this other one that I was trying to remember what it was. Oh, something about Things I Want to See or something like that.
Yeah.
But just super cool lead tones, and you could tell he was using a sustainer in a different way than everybody else was at the time.
Huh.
Which now Steve Vai is like the king of making a sustainer work in ways that people don't expect to use them. He doesn't just turn it on and let it do that natural kind of feedback thing. He actually is playing the sustainer almost as much as he's playing the guitar.
Gotcha. That's
it's a
cool.
technique thing that nobody else is doing.
That's cool. All right, what's this dog right here?
So that is a Paul Reed Smith. It's their less than, it's their middle, I guess, affordability range, called the S2 series, but it's a Vela. And I've had one and I sold it because I didn't play it nearly as much as it deserved to be played. The neck is just too thick for me. But visually, that to me is just the sexiest guitar alive.
Yeah, that's a good looking guitar right there. I'll see if
It's got the offset on the body on the bottom. It's exactly, mahogany body, mahogany neck, rosewood fretboard. So tonally, it just sounds great. But I couldn't get into it because the neck just was. I have little hands, so I
Yeah.
need
I've heard that about you.
something that's not very wide at the nut and not very thick as you go down the neck. And
Yeah.
it was a struggle for me. And that neck position pickup on that, it's basically kind of a knockoff of the old, let's see, duo sonic pickups, I think is what they call them,
Huh.
or D style pickups.
Yeah.
And it's just a single coil, but it's made differently than anything else. And they, you know, play a lead line on that with, just a little bit of distortion on it, and you can roll the volume down a little, and it just a great bluesy lead tone.
Gotcha. You should have your own channel talking about this stuff, Mike.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. What do we got here, buddy?
Okay, so that is
$2,000.
a guitar.
I'm just kidding.
That is a guitar I've lusted for a couple of years now.
Uh-huh.
It's a David Grissom model, Paul Reed Smith, and there's just a lot of little tweaks about that from a standard Les Paul that are different. So it's kind of a takeoff from the Paul Reed Smith McCarty model. The body's a little thicker. The neck profile is a little different. The frets aren't a standard polish on the edges. They're actually done so that they're closer. They stand up taller as they get to the edge of the fretboard, so to speak. So instead of filing them off at an angle, there's more fret real estate, I guess is what you'd call it. The inlays there, the outlined bird instead of the solid bird all the way around. I like that a lot. I think that's a real cool look. But the thing about those is they've got custom designed pickups that I can't find any specs for. No one ever pulls the pickups out of them. And the tones he gets out of that, his lead work on that is just awesome. The wiring on that, it's two master volumes, one master, or two volumes, one master tone. And then the pickups are splittable, but they're splittable in a different way than people normally do with them. So that bridge position pickup, when he does his country stuff, he doesn't switch to a telly. He just pulls the tone pot up and it splits that pickup, and it sounds just like a vintage telly.
Gotcha.
And then in the neck position, you split it, and it sounds just like the cleanest Stratocaster you've ever heard.
Wow.
And his whole deal was, I want a guitar that I can play the whole gig with and not have to change guitars and still get all the sounds out of.
Gotcha.
And
that's pretty good if you can do that.
Right, and he can. And those guitars are built so well that when he does a clinic for Paul Reed Smith, they just send one of his models out to the store, and he plays whatever's there. And he's consistently says, every time I show up, it feels like I'm playing the same guitar I've always been.
Huh, wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And based on that, you can understand why a used one there would be $2,400.
Yeah. Yeah. No
the
kidding.
attention to detail and just the level of consistency and quality control on those is amazing.
Yeah, I think that's what really gets me about even you. You have such a artistic, detailed approach to guitars. Like I'll hear a guitar and I'm like, wow, that sounds really good. Or I like particular things. I can hear stuff in the Strandbergs where the note definition is really prominent, but it's used for progressive metal and stuff like that, where that's important, but also could be useful in other things. But why? Like why it happens, and that's impressive. The details there. So I think you should, yeah, do a YouTube show
Sure.
just on guitars. You'd have a lot of people interested in that. My brother will be your first subscriber.
Well, technically, you're my first subscriber.
Oh, I am.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I didn't even know. Well, I knew I had set it up so I'd have a place to do a YouTube channel from if I ever did. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute. When did I get it? I've got a subscriber now. Oh, okay. It's Brett.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, now I have to make content. What's
Yeah.
going on here?
Yeah. We were laughing at it. I told you this morning, I'm like, oh, you know, this is my 4th show, and I just realized I have to turn on the live chat thing. So, yeah, we're all learning here, buddy. We're all learning.
Right?
Yeah.
I can use a lot of learning.
All right, one more, and I'll tell
Okay.
you what, this is my favorite, and I
So
didn't think it would be my favorite
Right.
a month ago, but Aaron Wesley, who's going to be on the show, I think next
Oh,
week or the
cool.
week after, kind of got me turned on to these guitars, and of course I looked at the basses, but anyway, go
Right.
ahead.
So that's a Strandberg. I believe that's what the Bowden Standard quilt.
Mm-hmm.
The, paint wise, the flame top quilt is, with a burst is in that tobacco, whatever you want to call it, sunburst like that. My favorite look on any guitar.
Really?
The shape of the body always throws me off.
Yeah.
Some days I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Other days I'm like, does it really have to look like a deer antler?
A deer antler.
Because that's where the name Bowden came from. It's after a reindeer antler.
Is that right?
Somebody,
I had no
yeah.
idea.
So he made it to be ergonomic. So there's purpose to all of those,
Yeah.
all of those features in that body shape.
Yeah.
But he was asking somebody, what do you think of it? And this little girl, I guess, said to him, it looks like a reindeer antler. So
It kinda
Bowden
does.
is a town that is known for having reindeer ranches
That's hilarious.
around. It's like the biggest area of reindeer ranches in the world or something.
Yeah, I mean, you can see right here. These kind of lines and these curves do look like a reindeer right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have
So
go ahead.
but they're all purposeful.
Yeah.
Everything, all of that's purposeful. The long horn on the top of the guitar there is for balance if you're wearing it with a strap. The cut on the very bottom, if you're sitting down playing it crosswise, the cut by the volume and tone there is if you wanted to stand it upright and play it like a classical guitar player might play. So everything on that guitar has purpose for where it is and why it is.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm drawn to on that is the neck, the profile of the neck, because it's not a typical profile. It's
Let's see if I can get a shot.
designed to draw your hand in a different way, and you can kind of see it. It's shadowed on that one side
That's not very good. Let's go back.
in that last picture.
Yeah.
The shadow on, I guess, as you're looking at it, the left side, that is actually, you can kind of see as the shadow gets smaller towards the bottom of the body there, it's actually kind of a roaming hump across the back
Yeah.
to make your thumb follow that line so that you don't do the things that cause you to have carpal tunnel issues.
Oh, that's crazy.
Keep you from breaking your wrist while you're playing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So when they say breaking your wrist, that whole, if you're typing like this, that wrist angle is going to give you pain. But if you can keep your wrist flat, you're going to have less pain with that.
Huh.
So all of that, everything on there is specifically for a reason. The headless setup, the way it is, the hardware on the bottom, the tuners are actually at the bottom.
You can kind of see
And they work in a completely different way than you would expect. Really, really cool guitar.
Yeah. I played one. I was playing at church with Aaron, and he said, "Man, pick this up." And it's like, it was so light.
Yeah,
It's
super
such
light.
super light, and which I'm like, oh, cool, because you know I want a 5 string bass, and 5 string basses are typically pretty heavy,
Yeah,
pretty
it's
fat.
like strapping a piano on.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So next Christmas, buddy, that's
There
what
you
I
go.
want. So you can just either deliver it or have it mailed here.
Okay,
I'm
I'll
pretty
see what I
good.
can do.
I'm pretty good with either
Maybe
either
that Powerball ticket will hit Saturday.
the yeah. Yeah, totally. Well, Mike, thanks a lot for being here, being on
You're welcome.
today.
Thank you.
You're a wealth of information when it comes to guitars, and I love you for that.
Thanks.
And I think you deserve a crowd. I think you deserve one of these. Oh, it didn't even work. Oh, you got to be kidding. Did I turn it down?
So I had a question. What are
Oh,
you
that's bummed.
attracted to in that
Oh, finally.
the neural? What is it? Or that the QC, the quad something? I completely blanked out now.
Yeah, it's called the
I did a
QC.
whole bunch of reading on it and I can't remember the name.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know a ton about it. I only know a little bit about it because if I follow Simon Grove from Pliny, and who's
Oh yeah, okay.
plays Strandberg
Yeah.
guitars, and Polini's one of my favorites out there right now, just because of his sense of melody. But um, what was I talking about? Oh, I don't know a lot about the neural DSP thing other than what I've read on, you know, their website and stuff.
Right.
It seems really compact, really strong, really powerful. It's like 4 different computers put together.
Yeah, it's
Um,
got more computing power than the laptop I've got in front of me for
yeah,
sure.
totally. So yeah, I think it's awesome, but I don't know if I could intelligently tell you everything about it right now. It just looks exciting.
So the one thing that because I'm not typically drawn towards that stuff
Hmm.
because it's that a lot of that stuff has the too much choice
Yeah,
almost. It's like I want a good Marshall sound. I want a good clean Fender sound. I want a good AC30 sound. And I
yeah,
don't want to have to tweak 7,000 things to get there.
yeah. Here's the deal that I noticed on that, because that's my deal too. I don't want to jack with programming and stuff all day, because I'll probably use 5 or 6 different things, especially on bass guitar. I mean, what do you use?
Right.
It it looks very user friendly. You can
Yeah.
set up the interface however you want on the front, but in addition to that, you can set up in like stomp box mode if you just want to act like a stomp
Right.
box pedal board, or if you want to have 5 different selections, and within those selections have presets. I feel
Yeah.
like you could go as simple or complex as you want, and the interface looks simple. So if musically, when you're playing music, you don't want to think about a bunch of different images, or oh, am I moving around? Like you
Right.
don't want it to look like this. See all this stuff I got to tweak, like do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
You don't want it to do that, especially when you're playing music. You want it to be feel based and all that. So
Right. So the thing about that I saw that I thought was really cool is how you interface with it. You don't have to plug it into a laptop. It's got a touch screen, but it also has the push buttons are also rotary switches.
huh?
So like
Yeah,
you can pull up something and you can adjust your mids and your highs or your pre-gain or whatever with those rotary switches. You don't have to, go through the touchscreen, find the thing, and then go, do I want 7.1 or 7.2? You just you turn it like you would an old school amp, or on your delay. Do I want to go with 700 milliseconds of delay, or do I want to go with 693 milliseconds of delay?
yeah,
You
yeah,
can, I mean, that's a little more specific, but you
yeah,
can rotate to that. You don't have to just sit there scroll through a touch, then hit the thing, then type in the number, then go back, and it just you can you can set that rotary to be what you want it to do, and you can turn it.
Yeah, I think it is designed to be somewhat tactile like that, where people don't maybe feel like it's more musical than programming a computer. But I
Right.
agree totally. I think it's so. I think that you should buy one, and then when you buy it, you can come
Get it
back.
all set up and figured out
Yeah,
and
you can come back on the show.
drop it off
Yeah.
along with the Strandberg bass.
Yeah, I would Strandberg. Yeah. So I will tell you though that like this little number right here, I pulled the trigger on that. The Ditto Plus.
Oh yeah, the Ditto
I don't know if you
looper.
can see it better here.
Oh yeah,
Gosh, how do I do this? This is funny.
other way.
There
There
you
you
go.
go. Yep.
Dee, 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 dee. You told me about that one, um, and that's awesome.
Yeah, TC's making the best loopers there are. I
Yeah,
mean, they've got so many variations on the theme, but the just the ease of use on them is way better than anybody else is doing.
yeah, yeah.
I
Totally.
I also have a little pedal here I can show you.
Show me.
This is my favorite all time always on pedal.
Really.
It's an EP booster, and what the guys at Exotic Effects did with this was they took the preamp section of an old Echoplex and replicated it in a pedal. So you can kind of get that Eddie Van Halen ish Echoplex being on all the time but not being used tone. And I can't explain exactly what it does, but all I know is I plug into it and it sounds great.
That's what you want. That's what you want from any
Right?
piece of musical gear. Something that sounds great. They should have a pedal called Confidence Booster. You should do one of those.
There you go.
You know.
I believe for vocalists that's called auto tune.
Actually, for vocalists, that's not really a confidence booster. When somebody has to put auto tune on you, you're kind of like, oh,
Oh
oh, I'm
no.
not perfect. Oh,
Yeah. Perfect isn't any fun.
yeah,
Not in music.
yeah. That's why this show's
I
going to
like
be a hit because this is so perfect. It's like I told I'll flip this. My wife's watched a couple of these and she's like, "Oh, that's nice," and she doesn't really get into the whole music gear stuff. And
right.
then I told her, I'm doing all that live. I think I was trying to impress her. I'm doing all that live, like I'm playing bass and like switching cameras, like this. And I'm like playing bass, and she's like, "Oh, you're doing all that? You doing all that?" And then she was impressed, and
There you go.
she liked the show.
Got to make it. Women are impressed when men can multitask.
Oh, and do the dishes. She likes it when I do the dishes.
Oh, there you go.
Multitask, right?
Multitasking.
All right, Mike. Um, so you sent me a guitar riff, and I was going to try to do it for
Oh,
an intro. So we're going to have you back, but it's a WAV file. I think it's performed well, but it sounds kind of like you recorded it on your iPhone. I hope you
I
don't take.
did record it on my phone.
Okay,
So
well I'm going to play it for you right now. All right,
it's
so
almost got that bathroom reverb thing going.
it does. Here's what I think we ought to do. I was thinking about this because I usually do a tutorial in these shows. A few shows I show like how to use Superior Drummer and program
Right.
it and stuff like that. I think that the next show you and I do, we'll take that, one of the tutorials, we'll take that and then take it into Logic, use Flex Time to quantize it, which I know you'll like that.
Oh yeah.
And then we'll start developing a track off of it, like do it live.
Okay.
Like if
Sweet.
somebody sends you a recording on their iPhone, how do you make a hit song out of it?
There you go.
I can't promise it's going to be a hit, but I will promise it should be a hit.
Okay, I'll take that.
All right, Mike. Hey, man, I also want to tell you, thanks for being a positive light on social media. There's a
You're
lot.
welcome. I'm trying.
Yeah. So, you you know, I kind of gave you a hard time about this before, but you were the guy that I knew that had an opinion about everything, and what I see
Well, I
you,
still do.
I know, but your opinions are encouraging people to take a higher road sometimes. So I appreciate that. So
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but I just got like tired of the the overall beating up of everybody
yeah,
because it's you're not changing anybody's mind.
yeah, yeah,
You can yell all you want, you're not changing anybody's mind.
yeah, totally.
In fact, you're more likely reinforcing what they already think when you're trying to change their mind.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think next time you and I maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that. I have an idea to talk a little bit about something I call EROI. It's called emotional return on investment.
Yeah,
My premise is like businesses don't do anything without return on investment. Um,
right.
so what's our return on investment before we make a post or before we yell at somebody? What is our return on investment? And I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's like just a filter.
Yeah.
Is this gonna be fruitful? Is this gonna cause me joy, or am I just gonna get more mad? And is it effective? Will people come to my
Yeah.
side because I yell, or will, like you say, push people away? So we'll talk more
Yeah.
about that next time after you
Cool.
buy the Neural DSP QC and let me borrow it. Did you get that last part?
Indefinitely, right?
All right, Mike. I think
All
you
right.
deserve one of these. Yeah,
There we go.
there we go. I want. I'm going to listen to this again, and I'm going to turn it up because I want you to hear the guy in the back. That guy's.
Great big woo in the
A
back,
big,
huh?
great big woo, totally. Oops. Well, I guess we're over. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you next time. This is BretB